In June 2019, a curious librarian unveiled the dark secret of the charming serial killer, Terry Rasmussen, who mercilessly preyed on his victims, women and small children, for years. Each time, he concocted a new life for himself, adopting a different profession, hobbies, and, of course, a new name. In 1986, Rasmussen assumed the identity of Gordon Jensen. He resided in one of the trailer parks in California with a 5-year-old girl named Lisa, whom he claimed to be his daughter. She slept in the bed of the pickup truck alongside him, frequently complained of hunger, and wore tattered clothing. A few months later, the man disappeared, leaving the child with neighbors in the park. When they realized that Jensen was not coming back, they reported the situation to the authorities. After speaking with Lisa, the police suspected that she had been subjected to sexual abuse. The girl surprised the police with another revelation. According to her, she once had siblings who died from poisonous mushrooms. Later, investigators found a woman who had been in a relationship with Jensen in 1984. She recalled that he had a baby girl with him at that time. In the trailer park, only one fingerprint of Jensen was found. According to police databases, it matched the fingerprint of a certain Curtis Kimball, who had been arrested for drunk driving with a child a year earlier. Although the name was different, the other characteristics matched. The elusive killer was caught 3 years later while driving a stolen car. He struck a deal with the police. The sexual assault charges were dropped in exchange for admitting to abandoning the child. This way, the criminal ended up serving 1.5 years in prison. Although Rasmussen was released early in October 1990, he did not wait for his probation period to end and fled. In 2001, Rasmussen concocted a new identity and introduced himself to a woman named June as a handyman named Larry Vanner. He spun a tale about being a millionaire and having served in the CIA. A romance blossomed between them. Instead of culminating in marriage, it ended with June's disappearance. When women in the community raised alarms, the police searched the house and found her remains buried under piles of garbage in the basement. According to experts, she had died several months earlier from a blow to the head. Vanner calmly stated that he had no involvement in the murder. He even volunteered to provide his fingerprints to clear his name. The result was astonishing. His fingerprints matched those of a person with a completely different name. This led investigators to connect the dots between Vanner and Jensen, who had violated the terms of his early release in 1990. Soon after, he unexpectedly confessed to June's murder. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. Investigators continued to wonder about the relationship between Rasmussen and the little girl named Lisa. DNA analysis confirmed that she was not his daughter. The inmate remained silent, and in 2010, he died in prison without ever revealing the truth. However, by 2015, little Lisa had grown into a young woman and decided to find her real parents. Thanks to genealogical websites, she found her closest relative, Denise Bowden. The last time she was seen was in late 1981 with a boyfriend named Bob Evans, holding a 6-month-old daughter. It is likely that Denise was Lisa's mother. In an archival photo, Evans was identified as Terry Rasmussen, the same man who abandoned Lisa in the park and, 15 years later, was imprisoned for the murder of June. Not far from Denise Bowden's home was the town of Allenstown, where an unknown serial killer buried his victims. The first barrel containing the remains of a young woman and a 9-10-year-old girl was discovered in 1985. 15 years later, a new investigator inspected the scene and found another barrel with the bodies of girls killed, aged up to 4 years. Since 1977, Rasmussen had been working in those areas under the fictitious name Bob Evans, and the site with the barrels was owned by his boss. A DNA test revealed that one of the murdered girls was his daughter. The mother of 2 other children turned out to be the woman buried in the first barrel. The real name of the killer was only established in 2017. The one who managed to identify his victims was 33-year-old librarian Rebecca Heath. She scoured genealogical forums and ingeniously traced back to a woman named Marlies McQuarters, who disappeared in the late 1970s. According to relatives, she had 2 daughters, Mary and Sarah. The relatives also mentioned that Marlies had married a man with the surname Rasmussen. She passed this information on to the police. In June 2019, DNA analysis finally confirmed the murdered woman and children from Allenstown were indeed Marlies Elizabeth and her daughters, Mary and Sarah. Only the 4th girl, Rasmussen's daughter, remains unidentified. However, authorities suspect that this serial killer had other victims as well.